Next article. Islamization of Paris is a warning to the West. A hidden camera shows streets blocked by huge crowds of Muslim worshippers enforced by a private security force. This is all illegal in France. The public worship, the blocked streets, and the private security. But the police have been ordered not to intervene. It shows that even though some of the French government want to get tough with Muslims and ban the burqa, other parts of the French government continue to give Islam a privileged status. More out of fear now than anything else. An ordinary French citizen who has been watching the Islamization of Paris decided that the world needed to see what was happening to his city. He used a hidden camera and started posting videos on YouTube. His life has been threatened, so he uses the alias of Maxime Lepante. I'm just going to play this clip real quick. It's just a short clip, and you won't be able to watch it, obviously, but you'll be able to hear it, and you can come up on the PDF that I will post, and you can watch it for yourself. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and play this clip here, and we'll comment it along the way, most likely.
This is a Friday in Paris, filmed by hidden camera. The streets are blocked by a huge crowd of Muslim worshippers, and it's enforced by private security. This is all illegal in France. The public worship, the blocked streets, and the private security. But the police have been ordered not to intervene. It shows that even though some in the French government want to get tough with the Muslims and ban the burqa, other parts of the French government continue to give Islam privilege.
Now, bear in mind something. This is exactly the same type of pictures that we got into last week that I put up on the PDF about the Muslims in the street of New York City. And I know that's going on in at least 3 places in New York City where whole streets are being shut down. And a lot of times, well, you'll see here, a lot of times it's not because they don't have room. It's because they're doing it on purpose to intimidate and to force their belief system and religion down everyone's throat, to force us to accommodate them.
Status. An ordinary French citizen who was watching the Islamization of Paris decided that the world needed to see what was happening to his city. So he bought a hidden camera and started posting the videos on YouTube. His life has been threatened, and so we're concealing his identity. He uses the alias of Maxime Lepante.
They are blocking the streets with barriers. They are praying on the ground, and the inhabitants of this district cannot leave their home nor go into their home during those prayers. The Muslims who are taking over those streets do not have any authorization. They do not go to the police headquarters, so it's completely illegal.
So what they're doing is completely illegal, and they're showing these people lining down sidewalks and streets and all this stuff. The people that live in these apartment buildings that are there cannot get in or out of their apartment buildings while they're doing this. I mean, this is insane.
These Muslims have been granted unofficial rights that no Christian group is likely to get under France's laïcité or secularism law.
So it says people have the right to share any belief they want, any religion, but they have to practice at home or in the mosque, synagogues, churches, and so on.
Some say these Muslims must pray in the street because they need a larger mosque, but Maxime has observed cars coming from other parts of Paris, and he believes it's a weekly display of Muslim power.
They are coming there to show that they can take over some French streets, to show that they can conquer a part of the French territory.
If France faces an Islamic future, it took a Russian to write about it. It's the best-selling novel, The Mosque of Notre Dame, 2048, a bestseller in Russia, not in France. The French publisher Jean Robin says the French media ignored the book for being politically incorrect.
So Islam is seen as the religion of the poor people. And so you can't say to the poor people, you're wrong, otherwise you're a fascist. That's how it goes.
The book lays out a dark future when France has become a Muslim nation and the famous cathedral has been turned into a mosque. Whether that plot is far-fetched depends on whom you ask. Muslims are said to be no more than 10% of the French population, although no one knows for sure because French law prohibits population counts by religion. But the birth rate for Muslims is significantly higher than for native French. Some Muslim men are said to practice polygamy, a charge this man faced. in some cases with each extra wife having children and collecting a welfare check.
With Islam, it's not only a problem of numbers. The problem of Islam is a problem of really principles. Is Islam a political ideology, or is it just a creed?
French philosopher Radu Stănescu is an Islamic expert who debates Muslim leaders on French TV.
It doesn't matter how many they are. The problem is the people who follow Islam are there somehow in a political party who has a political agenda, which means basically implementing Sharia and build an Islamic state.
Now, I totally disagree with his last statement. He said it doesn't matter how many of them there are. That's all that matters. Because it's a proven fact, and I've put this out before, that when there's a certain number of Islamic people, at like 10%, 15, 20, it shows exactly what they start doing as their percentages of the population climb, until it gets up to near 100%. And I mean, at that point, even practicing Christianity, you're literally risking your life. It's a matter of time before you're martyred. If you go to a lot of these Middle Eastern countries where you've got almost 100% Muslim, Islamic type of population. So he's wrong. That's what matters most, is how many of them are actually in the population centers where they go, and the less resistance they have, the more of them will flow in to that particular culture. That's how it works with them. It's all about numbers. And how they increase their numbers is one of the main ways there. A lot of them are polygamous. They have multiple wives, and they're just trying to churn out as many children as possible so that they can increase their numbers. That's one of the main ways they do it. I mean, who in their right mind would want to convert to that religion? I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, it doesn't look real appealing in any way, shape, or form. I understand that they do a lot of recruiting in the prisons, particularly to the black populations. And it's so ironic because I read you the quotes last week about what Muhammad said about the black races. And I mean, you talk about derogatory. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot worse than what they feel about black races. And yet, there's so many black Muslims in America. I just don't understand. Evidently, it's just being totally withheld. But I mean, the quotes are there, and he's the guy that started the religion. So, I just kind of wanted to... Oh, and also, the thing with the burqa, you know why they wear those burqas? One of the main reasons? Because they believe that any facial hair on their face, even the eyebrows, anything showing, any hair showing, is a direct dagger into Allah's eye. That's what they believe about why they have to wear those burqas and totally cover up. Because every hair that's showing on a woman on her face is like or I guess on her body, would be a direct dagger into Allah's eye. Yeah, that sounds plausible. Anyway, let's go further.
In the 1980s until just recently, it was a social taboo to criticize or oppose Islam, and so the government and media effectively helped Islam spread throughout the country.
We were expecting Islam to adapt to France. Now it's France adapting itself to Islam.
About the veil, this Muslim says Europeans should respect Muslim dress. This woman says the veil is in the Quran, and we only submit to God, and nobody else. Even if many government elites in France are in denial over Islam, the people in the streets increasingly are not. And they're becoming fed up with what they see as the growing Islamization of this country. They've started staging pork and wine aperitifs or cocktail parties in the street. They're patriotic demonstrations meant to strike back against Islam. Another national demonstration is planned for this Saturday. It looks as if a public backlash against Islam has begun. The French Parliament will debate a new burqa law this month. And this French leader has a warning for the West and for America.
We cannot accept the development of such practice because it's not compatible with the life in a modern society, you see? And this question is not only a French question. You will all have to face this challenge.
Dale Hurd, CBN News, Paris.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to part 3 here, our final part. God bless.